Hi, Cheryl.
I have to look for where you can see my hand.
Just want to be sure you can see my feet. How are you doing on this cold, windy day?
Oh, I'm kind of down. My good friend is literally in the last steps of dying.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, like her body's still going, but she's not there anymore. And then a good friend's brother-in-law died last week, and another friend's father. So it's just, I feel those are my three, and leave me alone for a while.
I don't blame you. Oh my gosh, that's awful.
Yeah, then
That
my girlfriend, she's going to be missed so much. She was just a wonderful person. And her husband, I was just talking to him. He's going to do the ride to prevent cancer. And the money they're putting in a fund for her oncologist, which I think is fabulous. So
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. She had cancer, did she?
Lung cancer. And she smoked as a kid, but she stopped when she had her daughter, and her daughter's 35. So, she was probably 30 when she stopped. She's now 65, so anyway, it's been a long struggle, but she's going to be missed. She was a wonderful person.
Well, I'm so
She
sorry.
actually helped a lot, was very instrumental in our women's habitat events.
Oh, was she?
Yeah. Her name was Karen Scoble. She was
Karen Scoble, I know that name. I know that name.
Yeah, she was the decorator. So she's literally, he said they expect her to die any minute. So.
Oh, Cheryl, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
We should send something. Should we send something from Women's Habitat? Like, would that?
I think what would be better, like, can it make a donation?
Can what? Can
Women's Habitat make a donation?
To someplace else?
Well,
No.
to this, yeah.
So
I think a note would be fine, but not flowers.
Okay. All right.
Because there will be endless flowers.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and flowers are kind of depressing unless they can be someplace where you can walk away from them, but if they're going to somebody's home.
Yeah.
But it would be good, does Lena know Karen?
Oh, absolutely.
Would she know that she's ill?
Everybody knew she's ill, but she's been ill for years. She's been on immunotherapy. Have you heard of immunotherapy?
I have. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll let Lena know. But
will you let Lena know? Okay, that's good. Yeah. Hi, Gina.
But it's just, you feel down. So I thought yoga's perfect. I'll think,
I know.
Positive things.
Exactly. We'll do positive affirmations, all thing. I was trying to find something inspirational to read to people. I think I'm going to start reading stories at the beginning and at the end, just to, because I find the meditations really kind of, I don't know, not very, I don't know, they're okay, but anyway, not today. Today we're just going to breathe, but I'm going to see if I can. I've got 4 people, but they don't have cameras. So, I can spotlight. Yay.
Yay.
Perfect. Hello, Melissa. Hello, Gina. Yeah, it's just about 4 o'clock. So probably people will join in a couple minutes, but. So just for those of you who are already here, we're going to start lying down on our mats today. So you can put yourself down on your mat and on your back. And it's 4 o'clock or pretty close to it. I'm going to just give it another second. There might be people joining. So welcome to Slow Flow Hatha Yoga. I'm Pat. And we're going to start our practice today by lying down on our mat. So everybody would come down onto our back. And we'll just lie back. We're going to start by just focusing on our breathing. and doing a scan. So let's lie down, bring our knees to our chest, because that feels so good doing that. And let's just stay here and just notice how we're feeling with our knees to our chest. And just breathe in and out normally, as you would regularly. Slowing our breathing down and getting our breathing deep and relaxed before we start to move into our poses. So let's bring our legs long on the mat. Can keep our arms at our sides, or we can bring them out to shoulder height, whichever feels better. We're going to just lie on our mat for just a few breaths and just do a quick scan from the top of our head all the way down to the tips of our toes. Maybe wiggle our toes a little bit, wiggle our fingers a little bit. Wiggle ourselves into the mat and just find a place where we feel relaxed and comfortable. In doing our scan, if we notice any place that is a little bit tight or possibly sore from doing something else, just place your hand on that spot that is sore or that's tense, and just hold your hand on that spot. Just to remind ourselves that we need to take care as we're moving through our practice to be kind to ourselves and to watch as that spot in our body that might be tense or sore begins to relax. Now let's take our right hand and place it on our chest. Take our left hand and just place it above our belly button. So just kind of mid-abdomen. And we're just going to focus on breathing in through our nose and out through our nose. Again, just feeling relaxed, wiggling into the mat so that we feel all of our muscles start to soften into the mat. We're going to focus on breathing deeply enough that when we breathe in, we can feel our left hand, which is on our abdomen, rise and fall when we exhale. So let's just practice breathing in through our nose, lifting so we feel our abdomen rise, and then exhaling again so we feel our abdomen drop. Our right hand, which is on our chest, won't move very much, but our lower hand will rise and fall with our breath. Just going to continue to breathe as you would normally. So don't be concerned about speed, but do think about focusing on, as we breathe in, our left hand on our lower abdomen rises. And as we exhale, it drops. So let's just do that with our own breath. I can hear the wind blowing outside. It's quite windy. Find something to focus on, either the sound of the wind, if you can hear it where you are, or just on your breathing. And we're just going to breathe in slowly. We're going to slow our breathing down. So let's breathe in and exhale. And breathe in and exhale. And as we breathe in and out, let's hear our breath. So we hear our breath by just softening our throat slightly. So as we breathe in, we make a slight noise. And as we breathe out, we make a slight whispering noise. That's Ujjayi breathing. Let's just continue to do that. Let's take 5 slow breaths. So breathing in. And again, breathing in. And exhale. And in. And exhale. And again. And exhale. And now let's release our hands from our chest. Let's bring our knees up to our chest again, holding on to our shins. Let's just continue to focus on breathing slowly in and exhaling. And inhaling and exhaling. And third time inhaling and exhaling. And now let's drop our feet down with bent knees. Let's bring our arms up overhead and just stretch our fingertips up overhead, all the way, fingertips pushing them behind us, just relaxing our shoulders. Again, if our shoulders are still tight, we can just hold our arms up and slowly let our arms drop down overhead with straight arms and lifting up again, bringing our knees to our chest again, holding onto our shins. Let's roll back and forth. Let's just roll to the right, making circles with our hips. And then let's roll to our left. Again, just making circles with our hips. And then let's drop our feet, come over to our side, and let's bring ourselves all the way up to hands and knees. So let's just come up to hands and knees. And we're going to move into cat and cow. So let's just bring our hands directly under our shoulders. Let's bring our knees directly under our hips. Our feet can be flat on the mat or our toes can be turned under. We're just going to move into cat and cow. And in cat, we're going to drop our tailbone, round our back, look through our legs. Let's just hold in cat, just pushing our back, rounded back up to the ceiling. And then let's move into cow. Lift our tailbone, drop our chest, look straight ahead. And again, let's just hold here for a couple of breaths. Feels good. And then let's drop our tailbone, round our back, look through our legs. And again, just hold for a few breaths. And again, let's lift our tailbone, drop our chest, look straight ahead. And let's just do 2 more of whatever feels good. If we like both cat and cow, then we can alternate. Or stay in one if one feels better for our back. Just do 1 more of each. And as we finish our last cat and cow, let's bring our knees wide to the edge of the mat. Bring our big toes together. Press back into child's pose. And let's just relax into child's pose, letting our hips relax, letting gravity just bring ourselves down slightly. And we're continuing to do our nice, slow, deep, controlled breaths. We're going to come up again, hands and knees. And let's move into spinal balance. So in spinal balance, we lift our right leg up. We're going to just start with just legs, toe to the floor, really pressing that foot away, engaging our leg, feeling like somebody's pushing against our foot, and continuing to focus on slow, controlled breath, keeping our hips level. Now let's place that knee back on the mat. And again, same, let's lift our left leg, just our leg, toe to the floor, core is tight. One side is going to feel much easier than the other side, and that's, we all have that. Really just pushing that toe to the floor, pushing the sole of the foot. Somebody's trying to push that foot, and we're just going to hold and breathe. Now let's place that knee down on the mat. Let's do it one more time with just legs, lifting our right leg, focusing on keeping our hips level. And we can just lift our leg, but we want to really push that foot away. We really want to engage that leg. And just hold. Another couple of breaths. Placing your knee back on the mat, left leg, again, just leg. Then placing our knee back down on the mat. And this time we're going to lift our right leg and we're going to lift our left arm at the same time. We're going to have our thumb pointed to the ceiling and our toes pointed to the floor. And we're going to hold, keeping our core nice and tight. Continuing to have slow, controlled breathing in through our nose, out through our nose, and then switching. Knee and hand back on the mat, left leg up, right arm, thumb to the ceiling, keeping our shoulder, keeping our arm at shoulder height, keeping our foot, our leg at hip height, continuing to breathe. Let's do one more on either side. So again, right leg up, left arm, continuing to hold and breathe. Hand and knee back to the mat. Left leg up, right arm. Again, core is tight. Now let's place hand and knees back on the mat. Again, let's bring our knees wide, keep our big toes together, push back into child's pose. Let's just hold. Place our arms out in front and our head to the mat, forehead to the mat, and just hold. Our hips might feel a little bit looser now. And each time we move into child's pose, we're going to hold for 5 breaths. And now let's come up, let's bring our knees again back into, so they're in a direct line with our hips. Arms are directly, wrists are in line with our shoulders and our fingers are spread wide. And we're going to move from child's pose into kneeling plank. And then again, child's pose into kneeling plank. And again, in kneeling plank, we bring our shoulders over our fingertips. Let's just continue to inhale up into kneeling plank and exhale back into child's pose. Inhale up and exhale back. And now let's just slow it down a little bit. So let's come up into kneeling plank and let's just hold here for a couple of breaths. And then push back into child's pose for a couple of breaths. Nice slow breaths. Again, up into kneeling plank, or we can move into full plank for a couple of breaths. and pushing back again into child's pose. And then if we want to lift up into downward facing dog and full plank, again, just going easy and slow, making sure that if we are in downward facing dog, that our shoulders, the space between our shoulders is nice and soft, nice and relaxed. And we can stay in kneeling plank and child's pose. Let's do 2 more of whatever people are doing. And 1 more. And then let's meet together in child's pose. Let's keep our knees closer together this time. Our hips are a little bit more relaxed. Let's bring our arms out really long in front of us so that we can feel a nice stretch across our shoulders and our back. We're just going to hold here for 5 breaths. And now we're going to come up again, hands and knees, and we're going to move into sunbird. So again, make sure that we're in the right position so that we're in straight lines, knees to hips, wrists to shoulders, fingers spread wide, and we're leaning forward slightly so that we're not straining our wrists. If we have any pain in our wrists, we can put a towel, a roll towel underneath our palm, and that will give us a little bit more support. Let's move into sunbird. Sunbird, lift our leg with a bent leg, sole of the foot to the ceiling. And then just as we did with cat, we're rounding our back and bringing our knee to our elbow. And then back up. And rounding our back, bringing our knee to our elbow. Back up again. We're going to do this 3 times. Knee to elbow. Sole of the foot to the ceiling. Knee to the mat. We're going to lift left leg with bent knee, sole of the foot to the ceiling. Rounding our back, bringing our knee to our elbow. Straight up again. Knee to elbow. 3rd time. Knee to elbow. Back up to the ceiling. Knee to the mat. Press back again into child's pose. Let's bring our arms long. Let's stretch those fingertips. Walk those fingertips as far as they'll go. And then let's walk them back. And then walk those fingertips up again as far as they'll go, feeling a stretch all the way up from our shoulder, all across our back into our arms. And then let's walk those fingertips back again so we have a bent elbow. And then walk our fingertips out again, feeling the stretch across our shoulders and our back. Let's just hold here with stretched arms. Again, if it feels too much of a stretch, just push back slightly, just release slightly. Otherwise, just hold with fingertips pressing away, feeling a nice stretch across our shoulders and our arms. Holding here for 5 breaths. Now let's relax our arms and let's just press our hips over to the right slightly, just feeling that stretch. Just press them as far over to the right as feels comfortable. Feeling a stretch on the outside. And then come back into center. Just hold here for a couple of breaths and reset. And then pressing our hips over to the left. And just as far as it feels good, it should feel just like a nice stretch on the outside of our hip. Let's come back to center. And let's come up into a kneeling lunge. We can have our blocks handy beside us. So let's come up, bringing our right leg up into a kneeling lunge, or we can come up into a full lunge as well if we like. We can practice with a full lunge by using a block on either side if that feels good, or we can stay just in our kneeling lunge with our hands on our bent knee. Our toe of our left foot can be, our toes can be turned under, or our foot can be flat on the mat. Hold here. Now let's just walk our right foot over to the long edge of the mat. Lean in, just feeling again the stretch on the outside of our hip. We'll hold here for 5 breaths. And on our 5th breath, let's walk that foot back so that our ankle and our knee are in a straight line. And again, we're just going to turn the toes under on our back foot. We're going to lift up and press back. So we're in a nice runner stretch. We're just going to feel the stretch in our calf. Just holding again for 5 breaths. Now let's place that knee back on the mat. Let's bring our right foot all the way back. Come up into a kneeling lunge with our left leg kneeling in front. Again, our toes can be turned under on our back foot, or they can be flat on the mat. We can be in a full lunge if we would prefer to work on strength and hold in that, or we can be in a kneeling lunge. We're going to hold in whichever we're doing for 5 breaths. And then we're going to walk our left foot over to the long edge of the mat. We're going to lean into that leg, come down as far as we feel comfortable. Again, just let that hip relax. One side, one hip will feel tighter than the other. And we can always hold one side longer than the other if it feels tighter. Usually that's the side we don't want to hold for longer, but it's a good thing to do. Now let's walk that foot back in so that our ankle and our knee are in a straight line. Turn the toes under in our right foot. Press back, feeling the stretch in the back of our leg and our calf. Just going to hold here. Now let's place that knee back on the mat. Let's come up. Let's do that one more time. Let's bring our right leg forward into a kneeling lunge. Again, we can stay in a kneeling lunge, or we can come up into a full lunge. We're going to stay in whichever we're doing for 5 breaths. We can alternate if we like. Come up into a kneeling lunge, or full lunge, come down into a kneeling lunge, come up and down, if that feels good. If we want to work on strength. And then if we're in a full lunge, we bring our knee to the mat, and then we walk our foot over again to the long edge of the mat and lean forward and see if this time, if it feels just slightly softer, slightly looser. Let it relax. Now let's walk that foot back. So it's the ankle and the knee are in a straight line. Turn our toes under, lift up, press back. Again, our calf might feel a little bit better this time. Just let it relax, holding for 5 breaths. Now let's place that knee back down. Take our right leg back, bring our left leg forward into a kneeling lunge. Again, staying in a kneeling lunge or a full lunge, just holding, keeping our hips level, holding for 5 breaths. And now if we're in full lunge, we bring our knee back down to the mat. So we're in a kneeling lunge. And then we walk our left foot over to the long edge of the mat, lean in. Again, so we feel a stretch on the outside of our hip, holding for 5 breaths. And then walk that foot back in. So our knee and our ankle are in a straight line. Turn the toes under on our right foot, lift up, press back. Feel the stretch in that calf. And now let's bring our right foot all the way forward beside our left foot. Sweep our arms all the way up. Big deep breath in, and exhale down. Let's do that again. Big inhale up and exhale down. One more time. Inhale up. And exhale down. Now let's move into our warrior pose, our warrior series. So let's start with short stance, warrior 1. We have our hands at heart center. We're going to step back with our right foot. We're going to keep our left knee slightly bent. We're going to have our heels in a straight line with our right foot just turned slightly towards the front. Our hips are in line with the short edge of the mat. Our arms are high, and we're in short stance, warrior 1. And again, we're holding all of these poses for 5 breaths. Now let's straighten our front leg. Let's press our hips back, hinging forward from our hips, letting our arm drop down into pyramid pose. And now let's just drop our front hand down even farther. Turn so that our chest is facing the long edge of the mat. Bring our arm up straight overhead into triangle pose. This is stretching all the bits, I think. Now let's just bring that arm down slowly. Turn slowly, bring our hands up to heart center, straightening up, pivoting so that our right leg is forward, our left leg is back. Again, heels are in a line, front knee is slightly bent, sitting back on the outside edge of our back foot. Hips are facing the short edge of the mat, and our arms are high. Short stance, warrior 1. And now let's just straighten our front leg, hinging forward from our hips, letting our arms drop down where they land in pyramid pose. And then let's just drop our front hand down a little bit farther, turn so that our chest is facing the long edge of the mat. Our arm can be straight up overhead, or our hand can be on our hip in triangle pose. And again, this does feel like it stretches every little bit. Some bits that don't seem to want to stretch. Now let's just turn slowly, bring our hands to heart center, straighten up, again pivot so that our left foot is forward, our right foot is back. Let's bring that right foot back a little bit farther into long stance, warrior one. Again, we're sitting back on the outside edge of our back foot. Our hips are facing the short edge of the mat. Our arms are high and we are in long stance, warrior one. And then we're going to turn so our hips are facing the long edge of the mat. Our arms are open, our shoulder blades are together, and we are in warrior two. And then we're going to drop our back hand down to our back hip, turn our front palm over, side bend into reverse warrior. And then just hinging forward from our hips, letting our front hand drop in front of our bent knee, bringing our other arm straight up overhead in side angle pose. And bringing that hand down slowly, bringing our hands to heart center, straightening up, pivoting. So our left foot is forward, our right foot is back, and we are in long stance, warrior one. And then we're just going to bring our shoulder blades together, open up our arms, look out over our front hand, and we're in warrior two. We're going to drop our back hand down on our back hip, turn our front palm over, side bend into reverse warrior. And then just hinging forward from our hips, letting our front hand drop in front of our bent knee. Our other arm can come straight up overhead. It can come right overhead, or it can be on our hip in side angle pose. Now let's bring that hand down around slowly. Bring our hands to heart center. Come up so that we are standing facing the long edge of the mat with our feet wide apart, angled slightly away so that they're in the same direction as our knees. Bringing our hands to heart center, sitting back down into prayer pose. Just feeling how strong our legs and our hips are. Just relaxing those hips. And then pressing our hips back, straightening our legs, bringing our hands down, all the way down to the mat or to a block, and just pressing those hips back behind us. Bringing your hands to heart center again, coming up, sitting down into prayer pose again. Then pressing our hips back, bringing our arms down to the mat. Just pressing our hips back so we feel the strength in our legs. We can have our hands on the mat or we can have our hands on blocks, just supporting us as we push our hips behind us. Now let's straighten our legs, bring our hands to heart center. Let's do our warrior, long stance warrior series one more time. So let's step back in long stance warrior one, hips facing the short edge of the mat, sitting into the outside edge of our back foot, arms are high in warrior one. Now let's open up. So our shoulder blades are together. We're looking out over our front hand. Our knee is not pushing in. It's not collapsing in. We're pushing it out. We're sitting on the outside edge of our back foot and we're in warrior two. Strong pose. Now let's drop our back hand to our back hip, turn our front palm over, side bend into reverse warrior. Now let's bring that hand down, bring our hands to heart center. Let's pivot to do those three poses again on our other side. So again, find the place where we're balancing on the outside edge of our back foot. Arms are high in long stance warrior one. And then opening up, bringing our arms open, looking out over our front hand, pressing that knee away. Again, warrior two. Open, strong pose. And dropping our back hand down to our back hip, turning our front palm over, side bend into reverse warrior. Now let's bring our hands to heart center. Let's turn and let's move into airplane pose. And for airplane pose, we have our feet hip width apart. We're pushing our hips back, hinging forward. We're opening up our arms wide. And we're just holding in airplane pose. This is a strengthening exercise for our back because gravity wants to push our arms down, but we are holding them up, pushing our hips back. We're stretching our hips as well as strengthening our back. Hold here for just a couple more breaths. And then bringing our hands to heart center. Let's come all the way up. And let's just move into some balance poses. So let's start by doing warrior three. We haven't done warrior three for a while. In warrior three, we're just going to, from short stance, we're just going to lean forward. We're going to lift our leg up to hip height. And come all the way up. And again, we can hold on to something. We can hold on to a chair, have our fingertips on the wall. We just want to focus on bringing that leg all the way up to hip height. And then with practice, we can let go of whatever it is we're holding. I'm going to bring that leg down. I'm just going to see how people are doing. Oh, can't see anybody. Okay. That's all right. Let's do it on the other side. Let's come around. We're going to, again, lift, leg at hip height. Yep. And just hold into warrior 3. Keep breathing. And bringing that leg down again. Perfect. And let's bring our hands to heart center. And we can move into tree pose. So we're all practiced at tree. Bring our heel to our ankle. With the toe in the mat, can stay there, or we can bring that foot farther up. And we can stay here, or we can move our arms, whichever we would like. Just hold for a couple of breaths. Down, bring the ankle down. Let's turn our left foot, again, bringing our heel to our ankle to start, toe in the mat. And we can leave it right here if we like, or we can lift it up off the mat and hold it against our shin. And just keeping our core tight. And then placing that foot back down. And let's try one other thing that we haven't done before. In full tree pose, we can bring our foot all the way up. And to start that, what we can do is just take our ankle and just bring it across and hold. So bring our ankle across. We're standing. We've done this a bit with standing pigeon, but we're not going to sit back. We're just going to hold our foot against our thigh. We're going to place that foot back down. Let's try that with the other leg. So again, we're just going to hold, and feel free to always hold on to something if you like. Just going to hold on to our opposite ankle and just hold. This isn't quite as difficult to keep our balance because we're not bringing our leg out quite so far, but it's a good practice for when we move into full tree pose. And full tree pose is like this. Okay, just again, I can't see anybody, but let's just practice that. Good. Okay. Oh, time's going away. Okay, let's bring our feet down all the way to the mat. Let's turn so we're facing the short edge of the mat. Let's bring our arms out wide and swan dive all the way down to the mat. And let's come all the way down and just push back again into child's pose and just hold there for just a couple of breaths. And then let's come around, bring our feet long on the mat. And let's just move into staff pose. And in staff pose, we sit with our feet straight out in front of us. If we can have our knees, our legs straight and flat on the mat, we can stay like this. If our knees are a little bit bent, let's sit up on a block. And then our legs can be straight. And it doesn't matter which we do as long as our legs are straight, because we're just going to lean forward slightly from the small of our back. We can sit up straight and then just lean forward. So we don't want to lean like this. We want to be straight up and just hinging forward. And then we feel a nice stretch in the lower back. We're just going to hold here. Again, we're going to hold for more than 5 breaths now. We're holding for longer poses. So we have to focus on something to keep our mind from wandering all over, from thinking about what we're going to make for dinner, what else we have to do today. We're just going to focus on our breathing, or focusing on something in our mind that keeps us breathing with deep breaths and relaxed And just letting our mind be calm. And if it starts to feel a bit much, just sit up again and hinge forward. And again, just let our muscles just soften as we hold in this position. We feel a stretch here in our back, and we might even feel it into our legs, the backs of our legs. And now let's come up. Let's bend our left leg. Let's keep our right leg long. We're going to take our left arm, we're going to place it behind us, and we're going to take our right arm, holding on to our left shin, and we're going to turn. We're going to start with our navel, and then our chest, and then our shoulders. And we're just going to turn, feeling in this twist, just holding in a twist. And now let's unwind, starting with our shoulders, and then our chest, and then our navel, and then let's straighten our left leg, bend our right leg, take our right arm, place it behind us, take our left hand, hold onto our shin, and just start to turn, starting again with our navel, and then our chest, and then our shoulders, in a nice twist, just feeling that twist and relaxing. And now let's unwind, again, starting with our shoulders, and then our chest, and then our navel. And then let's just hold on to the backs of our legs, and let's roll all the way back down to the mat. Slowly rolling down, bringing our knees to our chest, and just pulling them in. Now let's drop our feet down, soles of the feet to the mat, but keep our knees bent. And let's just move into a full bridge pose. So let's lift our hips up to the ceiling, and let's hold there for 2 breaths. And then come down to the mat again. 2 breaths. Lift up again. Hold it this time for 3 breaths. And then drop down to the mat again. And let's lift up one more time. Let's hold it for 5 breaths this time. So really press our hips up to the ceiling, pressing the soles of our feet into the mat, feeling the strength. If there's any pain in our back, we should just release slightly, come down. Should be no pain in our back when we do this. And then coming down, bring our knees to our chest again, roll around, just let the mat massage our back slightly. Now let's drop our right foot down, keep our left leg bent, lift up into one-legged bridge, just pressing up for a couple of breaths. This will feel harder to do it with just one leg. And then come down again, bring our knees to our chest. Let's drop our left leg down. Lift up again. And just hold for a couple of breaths. And come down again. Bring your knees to our chest. Drop our right leg down again. Lift up with just our right leg. Again, you can see which side feels easier than the other side. We're holding for just a couple of breaths. And then coming down, bring our knees to our chest again. And now drop our left leg down, keep our right knee bent and lift. And again, just notice which side feels easier than the other side. And let's come down again, bring our knees to our chest. Now let's drop our right leg down, cross our left leg over our right knee, and then holding on to the backs of our legs, just pull in. Again, we should feel a stretch on the outside of our hips as we do this. Just hold. Just continue to hold through this. Again, anytime it feels like it's too intense, just release it slightly and then pull it again. We should be feeling a stretch in the outside of our left leg. Now let's drop our right leg down. Let's drop our left leg down, cross our right bent leg over our left leg, and again, pull in. We should feel that stretch on the outside of our hip. We might have to just position our legs slightly differently to feel that stretch on the outside. Now let's drop that leg down. Let's drop both knees down, bring our knees to our chest again, and just pull in. Really pressing into our shins, pressing our knees into our shins, letting our knees fall open slightly. Just feeling that stretch in our hip crease. And now let's bring the soles of our feet together, bring our legs down into butterfly. And let's just lift just a little bit off the mat, just an inch or two off the mat, pressing on the outside edge of our feet. So we move into a butterfly bridge and then come down, let our knees, again, just let our knees drop, let gravity push us down. Let's lift up one more time. And then dropping to the mat, let our knees drop. We're going to lift one more time before we move into our final relaxation. So let's lift, pressing on the outside edge, the soles of our feet into butterfly bridge. No strain in our knees. Dropping back down. And now let's find the position that is most comfortable for our final relaxation. Again, if you can turn your lights down slightly, bring a blanket close by so you can be nice and warm. And I'm going to leave you in your final relaxation for 5 minutes, and then I will come back and bring you back into the room. Let's start to wiggle our fingers and our toes. Slowly bring ourselves back into the room. Let's rub our palms together, feeling the warmth in our hands and placing our warm hands over our eyes. And then just slowly opening our fingers, letting the light in. And when we're ready, come over to the side of the mat and slowly come up to a comfortable seated position. If we can put our mics on so we can hear each other. Let's take one more big breath together. Raising our arms up overhead, breathing deeply and exhaling down. Bringing your hands to heart center. Thank you for practicing together on this windy, wintry, beautiful day. I hope you have a great week, and namaste.
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 Thank you, Pat.
Thank you. Let me know how things go, Cheryl.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Will do.
Bye.
Bye.
Anthony, are you back in town?
Yeah, for a stint. Yeah,
For a little bit.
Our youngest granddaughter had her immunization this week. So once somebody you're associated with and the bubble goes to a doctor, you have to evacuate. So we were 2 weeks up there now. I guess we're probably going to be here 2 weeks to wait for the,
Yeah.
outcome.
Yeah. How did she do with her immunization? Did she have any side effects, or she was okay?
I think she was kind of bothered the first night, cried a bit.
Yeah.
But she seems to be rallying pretty. Seems like a pretty robust kid to me.
That's so good.
The youngest of three. She's got a lot of tender, loving care being passed.
She's gonna have to learn to take care of herself. That's right. She's gonna have to stand up for herself.
She'll grow up tough, I think.
Yeah. Or they'll baby her, right? They'll take such good care of her that, no, not so much yet. No, they're making her work for it. Well,
the oldest one thinks she's cute. The younger one, who, has been, kicked off the top of the trash heap, she's not that pleased with her sister. I think how hard it is. She was like the baby, and she's not anymore. Oh, they're so cute. Those kids are so adorable, though. Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe we'll see you out and about. Well, none of us are out and about. We did run this morning, though. It was quite nice.
You? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're running Sunday morning. We're staying far apart, and
chilly run.
It was cold. Yeah, it was. It was quite cold. It was okay once we got going, but it was cold to start for sure.
It's that breeze today is a killer.
It's really windy out. I don't know. I walked the dog when I got back from my run, and it seemed to be good, but it's gotten quite windy since then, I guess.
Yeah, I was just out. That's why I was a little bit late, because I was out with the dog and I had plenty of time, and then I ran into one of the neighbors who wanted to say hello in 40 below weather here. So
you think, stupid neighbor.
Into it warm,
Gotta go home. Okay. All right. Good to see you both. Have a good week. Talk to you soon.
Take care.
Bye-bye.